Just want to tell you, first of all, that thank you very much for having me today. It's my pleasure to be here and visit with you. I'll give you a little bit of background about myself. I grew up here in Montana, went to grade school and high school in Billings. When I graduated from high school, the first major job that I had was a roughneck on a drilling rig over in eastern Montana and western North Dakota. And I saw this engineer sitting there, and he was telling me what to do, and he was getting paid twice as much as I was, and he didn't have to work nearly as hard. And I said, I like that job better. So I saved up my money from that summer of work on the drilling rig. And I put my money down for tuition at Montana Tech in Butte, Montana, where I got a degree in petroleum engineering. Went around the world for a while with my high school sweetheart, my wife of now 31 years. But we came back to Montana because this is the place we love, and we still do love. And set up roots in Billings again, and then I eventually started my own company, which I sold in the mid-1990s. And I decided to take a different course of action, and that was an action of public service. So I ran for the state legislature. I served 4 terms in the state house, was the House Majority Leader, and then I ran for the state Senate, and now I am a state senator in Billings. So that kind of gives you an idea of where I'm coming from. But oftentimes, as I mentioned my wife earlier, we have some interesting conversations on the campaign trail. And she often drives for me because it's a lot better deal to have her along. And it saves a little bit of money on hotel rooms and things like that. I'm a fiscal conservative too. But at the same time, it is great to have her along, and we have some interesting discussions on the campaign trail. The other day we were on a trip to Butte, and I looked over at Kim and I said, Kim, did you ever in your wildest dreams think that we would be running for governor of the state of Montana? And she looked at me kind of funny, and she doesn't mince words, so she just said, Roy, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're not in my wildest dreams. So this running for governor is a very humbling experience. But anyway, when I did make the decision to run for governor, I knew this would be a very difficult task. And as I've traveled the state to get my message out to the people, one thing has become abundantly clear. Montanans want smarter, more accountable government, and they know that I will fight to make that a reality. Now, Montana families know that the economy isn't doing as well as we would like it to be. And communities outside our fastest growing cities are really struggling to survive. And even our cities are having major challenges. In fact, the governor's own report shows that Montana ranks extremely low when it comes to average wages. That means more Montanans, your friends, your neighbors, your family members, are finding a lot less money left at the end of the month when it comes to their paycheck. And now, over the past several months, we have seen unemployment on a steady climb, and the levels are now higher than it has been in the last 5 years. In a lot of cases, parents are working 2 or more jobs just to keep food on the table and keep the lights on. And we've heard promises of a brighter future, but that has yet to materialize for so many Montanans. We've seen the press releases and the television ads talking about all the jobs supposedly created, but we're not seeing it around the kitchen tables around our state. That's unacceptable, and it has to change. You know, our senior citizens know our taxes are too high. In particular, property taxes are putting the squeeze on so many families and businesses. But most often our retired seniors who are living on fixed income are hit the hardest. In fact, so many of our parents and our grandparents are forced to sell a home that they've lived in for generations because they can't continue to pay the ever-increasing property taxes. That's unacceptable, and it has to change. Our students and teachers know firsthand that our schools are once again suing the state because the last 4 years hasn't brought about a lasting solution to the school funding problem. Teachers, principals, administrators, and parents all know that while our kids are getting adequate education, they're not getting the education they deserve because the resources simply aren't there in the classroom. And that's unacceptable, and it has to change. Likewise, many of our college graduates who are ready to build lives and families are facing tens of thousands of dollars of student loan debt. That means young men and women are taking jobs in other states simply because they can't afford to work in Montana. My daughter's best friend dreamed of coming back to Montana and applied for a job at Billings West High, only to find out she was going to have to take a $27,000 cut in pay from her previous job. That dream is going to have to wait. We cannot continue exporting our greatest natural resource, our children. That's unacceptable, and it has to change. And it can change, and it will change, but it will take some work. We need smarter, more accountable government, a government that produces results, not just rhetoric. So what is smarter, more accountable government? And as the saying goes, what can Brown do for you? Well, what will Roy Brown and Steve Daines, my running mate, do to make positive changes in Montana? Well, our focus will be on creating good, high-paying jobs and expanding Montana's economy. Steve Daines and I have both worked in the private sector. We don't just talk about creating jobs in the abstract. We've done it all our careers. And we understand that building smarter, more accountable government means streamlining and innovation. It means, God bless you. It means we need to provide Montanans with more while asking for less of their paychecks to do it. It means encouraging and fostering ideas that lead to real results and not just words. You know, we're not looking for a press release. We judge our success or failure around the kitchen tables of families in this state as they discuss what's going on in their lives. We have had this approach in the private sector all our lives, and we will bring this approach to our government experience too. And I want you to partner with me to come up with those innovations and ideas that will keep us on the right path for a better future for Montana. Well, Steve and I have lofty goals for our state, and we believe we can do better, much, much better. But the biggest requirement for achieving our goals is to take advantage of the opportunities that literally lie at our feet. We have vast natural resources at our disposal. Boy, this is and we can develop those resources in clean and efficient ways without hurting our environment. This would provide Montanans with more affordable energy and create thousands of new high-paying jobs. And I know one thing, when the economy does well, nonprofits do well also. I often compare what I see in Montana to what I see in neighboring states. Wyoming, for example, has less coal reserves than Montana, yet they produce 10 times more in coal production. Now, when you look at Wyoming, their taxes are low, their schools are well funded, their teachers are making nearly twice as much as ours are. They have the resources in their state to invest more heavily in education and infrastructure and healthcare because they take full advantage of their resources. We have those same opportunities in Montana, but we have yet to take full advantage of this growing economy. As a Republican, I believe